Hello everyone, and in this video I'm going to be talking about what it's been like being outside of medical school now, and I can't believe it's almost been a year now since I decided to take my leave of absence. So I just wanted to share with you all how I'm feeling and where I'm at now, and just what my experience has been like going through this whole process. And so um, I'll get started. And I think, at a really high level, the best thing I can say is I feel a lot happier. And it's a bit weird for me because I feel like, when I was a kid and, a student, like everyone's always saying like more school is always a good thing. And, being a doctor is like one of the, top things you can do. And it's really weird for me to kind of be going against everything that a lot of people have been telling me for so long and just saying like, for me, it wasn't a good fit. And, it's just, and I'm going to explain why. Um, but yeah, I think it, as I've said before, what my experience was like as a medical student was very much, it felt like prison to me. And the reason why I say that is because I had very little control over my life. I had very little ability to be creative or to do things that I wanted to do. And there was also a lot of uncertainty or a lack of clarity in my future. And I didn't really have much say in things. That is how I felt. And so it was just it felt like a very controlling environment to me. Medical school slash, medicine in general is an extremely demanding field to go into. And I was getting to actually experience that because, from the outside, before I started medical school, I'm like, oh, I can handle this and maybe I'll even enjoy it and all these other things. But, it really isn't until I was there as a medical student and went through the motions of what is it like to, and this is how things were structured at my medical school. Basically, you have 8 hours of pre-recorded lectures Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And it takes me more than an hour to get through 1 hour of medical school lecture. On top of that, you also have like your anatomy labs and other things where you're supposed to go in person for some stuff. But so you've got your whole block of lectures, and then on Monday, the next week is when you'll be having, in the morning, like some kind of exam to review or to basically test you on all the content that you just had that week. And so basically, Monday around noon after you took that exam for your last material stuff, like you're already trying to learn the next materials stuff. And, you fall behind on Monday, but Tuesday, you still got 8 hours of lectures to watch. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday come along, and you're just so far behind that, I just can't keep up with any of it. And it really kind of basically, it sucked because it would be like I would wake up, my computer was in my room, my bed was in the same room, like I slept in the same room, I was in the same room all day. You just kind of wake up, you log onto your computer, you watch as many hours of videos as you can before you just kind of burn out or give up, and then you go back to sleep, and then you like wake up and you do it all over again. And to me that feels like prison. And the reason, and even when it's Saturday or Sunday and it's like it's usually the weekend for other people when they can go out and have some fun, it's like, well, if you're behind, which I often was, and a lot of my people, my peers also were too, you're not really going to get to do anything over the weekend other than more studying and trying to catch up on all the stuff that you didn't see at least once for your exam on Monday. And so it was just this weekly cycle of just really hell, honestly. And that's how they control your life, because if you don't pass that Monday morning exam, then you're going to have to retake that week's stuff on top of, and they're not going to slow down the next week either. So it's like if you fall behind, you're going to fall way far behind. And so like keeping up with the pace of the lectures you need to be learning is really challenging. And at least for me personally, because I majored in engineering when I was in college, so I didn't really have much biology or physiology or any of those other, anatomy things. Like it was all new to me, minus the biochemistry stuff. I knew a little bit about that, but like just so much of it was so new to me that, if you're learning this the first time, it's going to be really hard to learn it. And when you take those tests on Monday, it's a lot of times where you're getting tests on stuff that you haven't even watched a lecture for. And, you just, it's guessing, and it's like you're just fingers crossed that like you are going to be, you'll know what you need to know to pass this thing so you can at least continue. But it's like at a high level, all of your first at least 2 years of medical school is preparing you for your board exams and the step one. And to be prepared for the step one, there's lots of different strategies for it, but it's basically like your entire life is about how do you pass this exam. And that's the reason why like my med school had all those, tests every single week to like see, did you actually understand everything? And then we're going on to the next week. And if you didn't understand that stuff, well, then we're going to make you retake it. And it's just, that's how they're controlling your life during this period. And I really didn't like it. And, I was like, okay, well, maybe if I can suffer through this for 2 years, get to year 3, then you start doing rotations and start seeing what it's actually like to work in clinics, and be in these hospitals and all that stuff. But like the thing is, by that point also, like the board exams are still going to be there. At no point are you going to be like, I don't have to pass any more tests. You're always going to have to pass some test. And it's always like this make or break moment for you. And it's really, really stressful for me like that. I very much dislike how much of your whole life and your whole career depends on this test you're taking right now. It's very, very stressful. I don't think it's necessary. And in my case, it burned me out. Just, in all honesty, it really burned me out. Like I hated it. And if there was a way I could have balanced more kind of like patient interactions and interacting more with my peers and, getting to collaborate on things and be creative in some way, I would have liked it a lot more. And I don't think I would have left, but just the environment that I was in felt like prison to me and I hated it. And it was really hard. I think I said this before, but like the breaking point for me was at the end of the fall semester, they said, hey, kid, we need $30,000 for the next semester. And I just said, nope. I was like, I'm not going to take out 30 grand of debt to go through this again, and it just, and the thing is like, okay, maybe you just say, okay, well, suffer for like the next 4 years. Okay. And then by that point, well, you can do your residency. But even by the point that you're doing your residency, you still don't even know, like, what was your board exam score? What residency programs did actually accept you? Like, what specialty are you going to go into? You don't know any of these things because so much of it depends on your board exam scores that it's just like, number one, a lot of your life's already controlled. And number two, like, it's, if you're one of those kids that's just, blessed with fantastic, memory and critical reasoning skills and you've got the best test scores you can have, then yeah, maybe your residency program will be a lot of fun and you'll be doing stuff you actually want to do. But like the unfortunate and sad thing is that happens to people in medical school is that you don't get the right number on your board score or whatever. But like, because you didn't get the right number, you don't get to be a dermatologist or you don't get to be a neurosurgeon or whatever, because those are ridiculously competitive specialties to go into. And it's like, you might have had your heart set on being a neurosurgeon ever since you were a middle schooler, but your board score just said, no, that's literally not going to happen unless you're going to like do something crazy. Like some international residency program, I don't even know what, but just the amount of uncertainty and the amount of stress in that life just to get to the point where like you might be doing some of the stuff you want to be doing down the road, to me just seemed like too much uncertainty, too much risk, and too much just complete lack of control over your life. And in terms of like work-life balance, this is something I've been thinking a lot about this last year, is just like, if I don't feel like I'm able to live a life I want to live while I'm working or studying, then I'm not going to stick around for that much longer. And that isn't saying, and some people can look at that and be like, oh, well, you're just weak or you're not wanting to like really, stick it out when things are tough. And it's like, that's not what I'm saying. If I genuinely don't believe in something in the long run and I don't see myself enjoying this or being happy in the long run with this thing, then why am I going to stick there and do it? That's really where I'm coming from with that. Is just, I didn't see medical school as this thing that I would enjoy in the long run. And I'm spending too much time talking about why I was leaving. But like, what's happened since then is, I feel grateful that like I had a technical background and some experience in software development that it let me get my first job as I left medical school, I got my first job in the software industry. Like I used to work in biotech beforehand. So I was working at Amazon Web Services and now I work at Zillow, similar stuff, except, I just, it's all about, just for me right now, it's about having fun and being excited about the future, and trying to find projects that actually excite me. Like, that's really, to me, what the most important thing in my life is about making sure that, like, I'm excited about tomorrow. I'm excited about the next year. I'm excited about the next 10 years. That's what life is about for me. And I did not feel that as a prisoner, as a medical student. Like, it wasn't me at all. And I am very, very happy in my, in my professional sense too. Like, just in the professional world alone. Like, I'm like, oh, you're walking away from a big salary that you might have if you have this really fancy specialty down the road as a medical student. It's just like, I don't care. I'd much rather be sane and enjoy life and actually be excited about my work than go through the hell of residency and medical school. And, you're going to come across a ton of egos along the way. And, there's just tons of horror stories about how, like, even though you might have all the merit you could ever have for something, it still doesn't work out for political reasons, or someone just doesn't like you. And it's, my dad has horror stories that, involved him when he was doing his program, where it was just like very, very, it's all about egos. And it's so sad, because it's like your merit doesn't really mean everything in those rooms. It's not a fair system all the time. And it's really sad, but it's just the reality. And so, I am glad I'm not in that world anymore, personally. And I'm glad that I decided to try something different in software engineering and software development, and just trying to make sure that I have things in life that, like, I'm actually excited about and that I want to do. And, I guess to really kind of define what it is that I personally have found meaningful for me is just making sure that, like, I have a degree of autonomy, and creative freedom in what I'm doing. And I also want to be able to, just learn a bunch of new things and not necessarily be told what those new things have to be. Like, in medical school, yes, you are learning a lot, but it's very, very defined and very, very controlled. You're going to be learning a lot about biochemistry, anatomy, physiology, histology, pharmacology. You've got these things. It's like, you're going to have to learn these things, because otherwise you will not pass your board exam. So yes, you're learning a lot, but you're learning a lot of things that are predetermined and predefined for you. And, the issue with that is just that, like, it's, what if you want to learn something about art, or what if you want to learn something about, Arduinos or Python or something else? It's like, you don't get that chance. And, like, in my current job, at Zillow, it's really fun in the sense that, like, I have to learn stuff about Terraform, because Terraform looks like it might be a better, more efficient way of doing things that I've struggled with in the past. And it's like, holy cow, I wish I knew this way sooner, because I see all these possibilities for where it can be applied. And it's like, you can learn Terraform, or, I can just tell my boss, like, look, there's this new tool out there that I think can be really valuable and help us make money or save money somehow. And just, and if I can come up with a business justification for it, like, I can go do that. And, there's the freedom to go do these things and to dive deep and to, just really kind of, I don't know, to me, a lot more fun, a lot more rewarding. And it's stuff that, like, I didn't have to go to school for, and I didn't have to spend $500,000 of medical school tuition, for, and I didn't have to go through a residency for 4 to 8 years and only get paid 50 grand a year while I'm 500 grand in debt, and work 100-hour work weeks. It's just like the work-life balance, to me, it's becoming more and more important the older I get. And I'm really happy about it. And that's my professional life, is I'm so much happier. I feel so much more productive. I feel like I'm actually building stuff. Like, I'm building stuff at Zillow. I'm building stuff at Amazon. You're making things that people will use. And it's, to me, just like, I can look back on it and be like, yeah, I helped make that, or whatever. But just like, it gives me a sense of purpose and meaning that I didn't have as a medical student, where I was just sitting there on a Zoom meeting, a pre-recorded Zoom video, whatever, just saying, like, here's all the stuff you need to know about the heart and blah, blah, blah for your board exam. And just, it's like, what are you building there? You're not. And I'm sorry, I'm ragging on this, but it's just like, this is why I personally made the decisions that I've made. And I can't say that I regret making it. It's just, have things to be excited about is, like, the biggest thing that I wish I was telling myself before I went to medical school is just like, is this something you see yourself really being excited about? Like, do you see yourself really being excited about having to prepare for a board exam? And the answer is I don't. You know, I think I'd have a lot more fun like trying to come up with some application that could help track diabetes in some way and you know whatever, but just something you can build something that no one else has made and or contribute to something else and just like you can be involved with stuff in a way and have creativity in a way that like I feel like I need personally to have any sense of like purpose or meaning. Um, but yeah, and then like in my personal life, because I actually can have a personal life not being a medical student, is like, you know, I met my partner and I'm really, really happy with her. And I'm also, I am buying a house, you know, like I'm doing things in life that like I want to be doing. They're a little bit scary, but they're also really exciting and fun. And it's just kind of like, I wouldn't have any of those things if I was still in medical school. And that opportunity cost is something that I don't think really comes through when you're just fully, you know, rationally thinking about this stuff. Is just like you're giving up a lot to be in medical school. And we live in very exciting times of, you know, software engineering, if that's a field you're interested in. But, you know, obviously I'm biased. But, you know, just there's other paths in life that you can take that I genuinely believe can be a lot more fun and exciting than, you know, being a medical student. And these are all my own personal thoughts. I'm probably gonna get attacked for saying this stuff, but I don't care. How I feel. This is how I feel. This is why I make the decisions I make. And another thing I will say for myself personally is that like, you know, I wish I knew all this stuff sooner, but even if I did know it sooner, I'm the type of person that I need to be somewhere, I need to experience stuff to form my own opinion. And so with all that said, it's like even if I told all this stuff to my past self like 2 or 3 years ago before I went to medical school, I still would have been saying stuff along the lines of like, you know, I've worked so hard to get where I am right now. Why would I throw away all this stuff? You know, I've took the MCAT. I did all the prereqs I had to do as an undergrad. You know, I tried to get the best GPA I could get as an undergrad. I tried to get the best MCAT score I could get. You know, I spent all that time in personal statements. I spent all that money in all those, you know, application fees to all those medical schools. And pre-COVID, you know, I was flying out to all these places and booking hotel rooms and spending more money on traveling and just so that I could get an offer to be a medical student. You know, the amount of investment that it took really, again, it comes back to that whole economic sunk cost fallacy thing of like, if I'm so far into this, I can't get out. Like I have to see this thing through because that's the only way you're going to get any returns is if this thing actually comes together. And it's like, it doesn't work that way, at least for me personally, you know, and at an emotional level, like maybe from like an economics perspective where you're like, this is an investment in your future. And, you know, yeah, if you become a surgeon, you're going to be making 400 grand a year, but that's so far in the future and so many uncertainties are between you and that point in the future that like, you just don't know. And, you know, when my dad died in 2018, just like that, it really forced me to understand that life is very fragile and by no means do you know what's going to happen. And it kind of forced me personally to just look at life differently in the sense that like I need to make sure that like I feel happy, I enjoy what I'm doing. I need to make sure that I feel meaning and purpose in what I'm doing. You know, not just in my professional life, but in my personal life. And it just, you know, it becomes a lot more clear in hindsight, I guess. But it's just like I'm not regretting my decision to leave. That might not be what people want to hear. Or maybe some people, really nasty people, say stuff like, well, it's good you left because we don't want you. And it's just like, I don't want to be with you either if you're that type of person. But that's okay. You know, I'm at where I am right now. I'm happy. I enjoy life a lot more. I'm with people I love. I'm doing things in my life that I actually want to be doing. And yeah, that's how I feel. And I'm actually excited about the future now. I was not excited about the future as a medical student. I think that's the simplest way of putting all this stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap things up with that. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Thank you all for watching and be well.